Following in the footsteps of TaleWorlds, I decided to wait 72 business years before releasing any content on Bannerlord in anticipation of the upcoming War Sales DLC. Truly a game like no other. What better way to capitalize on the community's resurgence of hope than to discuss the achievements and flaws of this game for any new or returning players? The Mount & Blade series has always been one of a kind, and Bannerlord did a tremendous job in selling that experience. Starting off as a nobody, before building your way up to power and yelling, "What color is your Wadar Hotblood?" as you race through an army of peasants is such a fun concept that never got old in my collective 250 hours in the game. To add to that, both the epic large-scale battles as well as the direction-based combat system do really well to immerse you in the power fantasy. Which is why I'd argue that the best way to play Bannerlord is by oiling yourself up like Conan the Barbarian and yelling "Wah!" before charging headfirst into battle. The game is more gripping than the socks of a psych ward girl, and it's easy to lose track of time as you push for one more monster-fueled battle of legend, or rush to recruit your fallen soldiers because your dumbass thought you could outrun that 800-man army gunning for you like a gorilla on a gallon of PCP. It's really hard to convey the sense of awe and testosterone surging through you as you prepare your army for a full-scale battle, right before getting your insides concaved in by a battalion of Kuzaid Khan's guards and having to start over completely. I also really like the overall map design and authentic feel of the different factions. The fact that topography actually plays a role in how you plan and traverse around the map is quite stimulating, as you are sometimes forced into unavoidable, awful situations that you have to contend with. Also, the fact that the factions have authentic differences between their clothing, playstyles, and general culture does a good job of gripping you into the world, right before you power max as the most progressive warlord commanding an army full of Battanian Fian champions, Azurai Khan's guards, and Imperial legionaries. You might be a ruthless, cold-blooded killer, but one thing you are not is a racist. In the game, finally, is the skill system and character progression. Sure, leveling certain skills feels longer than those times your girlfriend says she's close and you're hanging on for dear life. But other than that, it is genuinely satisfying how rewarding the different playstyles can be from a combat perspective. And if the rest of the game matched that level of playstyle variety and creativity, this game would easily have been a 10 out of 10 in my books. However, before I continue, I'm sure there are a few of you glorious legends with 72 kajillion hours who have some wonderful stories to share. So please, let me know in the comments what your most memorable Bannerlord moments were, as I'm sure you have some fun stories to share. Before I claw into this game like an obese person through a pack of donuts, I really want to emphasize that despite the grievances I'm going to share in the next two categories, I still think Bannerlord is a tremendously fun game overall, thanks to how satisfying the fundamental core of the game is. That said, there are still lots of frustrations I have with it and feel necessary to point out. The first complaint I have is that I don't understand why they included multiple dialogue options when the outcome is always the same generic response, regardless of what you just said. I swear, you could have given two completely different answers like, "Sure, I'll deliver those 29 loads of iron for you," and
"My name is Villager Pillager and I am the bringer of death."
And people would still have responded with "thanks," although some of the local merchants will not be happy with that. It's so utterly unnecessary and useless that I genuinely have no idea why they included it at all. But honestly, while the dialogue system is unnecessary, this next part is just annoying. That award goes to the army system. Or more specifically, the secret cloning technology every other faction was developing while you were busy getting harpooned in the scrotum trying to win arena fights. First of all, how in Zeus's goose nipples do enemies somehow always manage to have an influx of troops to throw at you, despite you shredding through their ranks like butter? Finally, why on earth is the enemy able to outright cheat your numbers advantage as the Avengers endgame the fight by portal summoning distant allied lords in? This would be fine if it were fair and applied to you too, but for some reason, my allies with 1,000 bodies to spare always seem more preoccupied with that 8-man bandit clan. Hey, that rhymes! Than to actually do their job and support me. Good fucking Bannerlord, is this game a lot more shallow than it deserves to be. And that's including the latest patch that added a lot more to the game. Yes, I know mods exist to improve this issue, but you don't judge a game based on what people outside of the studio have added to it. If that were the case, Skyrim is more of a futanari hentai sim than an RPG at this point.
Never!
While the game itself is a tremendously enjoyable experience from the parts that work, TaleWorlds should be ridiculed for how they've treated and handled this game. Not only are there improvements to the game, the dev equivalent of Chinese water torture with how slow they've been.
Slow down, baby.
But they were so busy punishing players' fun by nerfing smithing, workshops and caravans that they forgot to actually add depth to the parts of the game that did exist. Where are the feasts, the diplomacy, the intrigue, the courting, and the non-combat finance aspects of this game? It's insane how much freedom this game was presented as having, and yet Mount & Blade Warband, a game that has the literal fucking word war in the title, had more freedom outside of its namesake than Bannerlord. In this game, if you want to do anything substantial and not have to wait until the heat death of the universe to do so, there are basically only two options. Become a mercenary until you can eventually take over a rogue faction, or join a kingdom as a vassal and garner power that way. That's it. TaleWorlds really said, look at all this choice we've made available to you. You can go left, and you can even go the opposite of right too. Absolute magnanimous game design, if I do say so myself. Giving any sort of recommendation is like beating a dead horse by banging its head into a brick wall. Basically my first few attempts at arena jousting in the beginning of the game. However, for the sake of fairness, here are two quickfire improvements I think would do well to make this game significantly more enjoyable. The recently added stealth and trade agreement systems were a really nice touch to the sandbox aspect of the game, and I think more time and attention, or just any time and attention at this point really, should be spent on similar improvements. First, give us more ways to rise to power through diplomacy, intrigue, and mercantilism. A nemesis system is obviously too complicated for a game like this, but at the very least, let me turn lords against each other by whispering, "That one called you a stinky poopy pants," or something like that. Next, fix the tedious mid-game problem of enemies refilling their ranks like horny rabbits by limiting how quickly rival lords are able to recruit their fallen warriors. Instead of enemy captains pulling out some Yu-Gi-Oh level Heart of the Cards bullshit and instantly returning with a full army the next day, make it so that recruitment after a battle depletes both food and garrison reserves from their allied cities. If I wanted to play the Clone Wars, I'd have downloaded the Star Wars mod, you dorks. So please, fix this, as it's probably the most insufferable part of the game. These aren't massive overhauls, just common sense fixes to make the world feel more enjoyable outside of combat. Regardless, it's clear that TaleWorlds has a specific vision for this game based on what they've added and taken out over the past 5 years. The problem is that until now, their vision has been to fiddle around in a desert and take away all player agency outside of one-dimensional warfare. Yes, the game is awesome, but that's because the core premise of rising to power is so damn entertaining, not because of any significant improvements they've added to it. Ask yourself, how many of your hours were spent playing the base game and how many were modded? Nevertheless, it's still an awesome game, and assuming the new DLC is not a complete cash grab, I highly recommend you pick it up. More importantly, while I love the game, I absolutely cannot wait for its new rival, Chronicles Medieval, to come out next year and hopefully blow this game out of the water. Maybe that will light a fire under TaleWorlds and have them deliver the glorious experience that this game deserves to be. Otherwise, I'm off to stop the Botanians from screwing their sheep, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it, and remember to like and subscribe if you want more videos like this one.